What's up, Styrene Slingers? Bodacious Rods and Customs back at you with an update from the Shelby Cobra Twin Turbo Super Duper Snake. Anyway, fellas, I wanted to do a quick update on this one because in the last couple of days I got a really good response from a lot of the guys that have been checking out the last few videos with regards to where I was headed with the Cobra. And so there had been a few things that I've been wanting to do that are things that I'm going to actually have to send out for. There's the turbos. I could probably build turbos myself, but in all reality, I think that the fact that they are such a focus point to this vehicle, I want them to look really good and convincing. So I'm actually going to send away for turbos. There's a fella named Ted who's got a great store called tedsmodelingmarketplace.com. Check it out. He's got a killer selection of just amazingly detailed parts and some hard to find stuff that he has that's real race specific. But anyway, I'm going to be ordering a few turbos from him and then finding a way to plumb the motor so that they work properly with this setup. So since I don't have those, I figured I'd do a little work on the body. Now one of the things I've been toying with is opening up the vents. On the Shelby body, if you guys can see, there's vents. Oh, sorry, I got directions and stuff sitting out in the way. But on the Shelby body, there's vents right above the exhaust, just behind the front wheels. And on the kit itself, those vents were cut really nicely, but what I wanted to do is open those up and make it a little more custom. I shaved off all the 427 logos, and I shaved off the Cobra logos front and back, because I want this car to have a super sleek appearance. I'm probably going to fill where the bumper comes in and just do this one with no visible bumper out front, and maybe not even those anything. But anyway, what I wanted to show you guys is after the response, I figured I'd go ahead and do some body work. So I spent the last day and a half coining a new term. Fellas, I know a bunch of you guys know about cutting doors out and cutting and opening trunks. The best technique is to take your sharp X-Acto blade, your hobby knife or whatnot, and drag the back edge, not the sharp side, but the back edge of the hobby knife down into those grooves, and eventually, and I mean eventually, you will cut through with the cleanest, nicest cut that you're going to get. I've coined a new term for that because I certainly felt like that's what I was doing. I call it Shawshanking. And I spent the last 2 days Shawshanking my way through the side of this Cobra body so I could open up these vents. And I don't know if you guys can see up close yet, but you'll notice that I put in some mesh that's inside those vents. It's a gold color, kind of a brass sink screen. And if you look on the inside, you can see where it's mounted with just a little bit of super glue to give that a nice little stick. And it's just in there for mock-up. I was real excited about having gotten those holes cut, and the way I am going to finish that up with vents. Anyway, the intention is to get the turbos to mount right behind those holes so that the air cleaner, if any air cleaner, is basically pressed up against those vents, and that's where the air would theoretically be sucked rapidly into this massive engine. So to give you guys an idea where I got that screen, it's one of these guys. You can get these at the hardware store, and they are a very fine gauge brass screen that goes up inside of the spigot at your bathroom sink or your kitchen sink. So if you're super hard up for one of these screens, guys, you can find one in the guest bathroom sink and nobody will even notice it. But anyway, guys, that's what I'm using right there. I cut out the right little piece, slide it in there, tacked it down with a little bit of super glue for this mock-up phase. I'm going to peel those out and probably replace them with fresh ones when I finish it, and I'm going to cut down the parameters a little bit tighter so there's less layover on the inside, because I want it to look just as nice on the inside of that engine bay as it does on the outside, because in all actuality there's very little to this vehicle at all. The trunk is not finished, and there's no encasement to the trunk. There's no gas tank in the kit at all. It's all open space. So I'm thinking what I might do is I might take the opportunity to use this little platform that they do give you. It's the bottom of your trunk. It's right there. And I'm going to probably go ahead and, you know, mount a, I guess there's a battery for this kit, but I'll probably mount the battery in there, build up a gas can, and make it look sort of functional. Because I think half the showcase of this vehicle is going to be the way it looks like from the underside. Because you certainly will be able to see the bottom of the engine. You certainly will be able to see the bottom of the turbos and all the exhaust work and everything straight through the bottom of that. I mean, it's a race car tube chassis, so you're going to see everything when you look inside this vehicle. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the quick update on the 65 Shelby Super Snake twin turbo, as it were. It's been recently Shawshanked, and piece by piece, scratch by scratch, patiently over the course of a couple of days, I finally got through those holes. And yes, it's going to be so cool looking with those screens instead of just the stamped plastic. This body really does leave a lot to be desired. The more I work with it, the more I realize that this is not the kind of body that a box stock build is going to just look awesome. It really leaves it kind of on the nerdy side. A fella named Dave Parker at Scale Model Customs up in Northern California, sunny Northern California, he built this model about a year ago, and he did it up pretty nice with a bunch of blacked out pieces. But just like he had said, he goes, yeah, this is kind of a nerdy looking car if you do it box stock, wire rims, and you know, just no upgrades, no speed or anything like that. So it lends itself to the scratch builder and the kit basher and the person who's going to take a very basic car and go a lot farther with it. So anyway, guys, that's that for the Shelby 427 Cobra. As you guys can see, my my workspace is a little bit busy right now. I don't know if you guys can really pick up on it through the camera, but from my camera angles you can probably tell that my workspace is about 18 inches wide by a little over a foot deep, pretty much at the most. I've got a bunch of bench space around me that I can use, and clearly you can see the other desk over there. If I had to use it, I would, but I really like to keep the entire project and everything I'm doing right here in front of me. I know a lot of you guys have a lot more bench space to the left and right. But for me, I just find that there's something kind of zen-like about just having one thing going on. And so right now it's kind of funny because you're looking and you see the Chevy truck floating around in the background. I'm going to do a separate update for that because there's been a bunch of new upgrades on that, and I'm real psyched about how close that is to going into primer. Right now it's Tennessee, and it looks like an ice rink outside, so unless you're into curling, you're not leaving the house. Straight up, it's cold, chilly, wet, and icy out there. So obviously nobody's doing any outside painting. I don't really prime inside. I stick to just the airbrush and the small stuff in here. If I'm going to blast big paint, I definitely take it outside. So we're not doing any primer right now, but we are definitely getting close to breaking this down out of its white glue mock-up and getting more of the plastic weld and the hard bonding going on. Getting this thing ready to go. The Cobra is definitely well underway. So another little thing that I definitely forgot to mention is the interior. Like I said, this car doesn't really come with a whole lot of bells or whistles. It's very, very basic, and so to give it the appropriate interior and treatment, I have turned to the land of the rising sun. Yes, fellas, I've ordered some parts straight from Japan, and we are looking at a very cool Aoshima interior made up of 2 racing style seats. The kit also comes with a spoiler, which I am probably going to use. As a Cobra purist, I would say that a spoiler has no business being on there. However, as a Cobra purist, I do not believe that this is the Cobra purist car. This is more like a hopped up AC that happens to have a Shelby 427 dropped into it. At best, it's a British kit car. It ought to be set up to have a driver's side on the right. But because this is not my favorite type of Cobra, I feel like I have open season on customization, and I will unabashedly and without apology put a spoiler and a roll bar and every other speed freak tweak I can possibly squeeze onto this thing. I want to make this car look positively terrifying. Something that would do absolute justice to what the Shelby Super Snake was back in the day. Something that would make Bill Cosby jump 3 feet out of his shoes once again. Something that would definitely do justice to the legacy of what the Shelby Cobra is. But yeah, guys, I don't know if you guys are aware, but the motor for this thing is just mammoth. I mentioned it earlier, but like, look at the motor next to the car. It's enormous. I mean, this thing is absolutely huge. So anyway, once I get that in there, we're going to shoehorn in some turbos and make this thing look like it's freaky. So anyway, guys, that's it for the Cobra. I know it seems like a lot to talk about for very little bit of building, but this Cobra is going to be sick. So we're going to work on it slowly, take our time, really turned a lot of attention to the cranky calendar build, really turned a lot of attention to the tribute build for my girl Kathleen, aka the Kathleen Cruiser. I'm also trying to press that one a little bit forward into the queue because Chevy Truck Month is fast approaching, and I'd like to do it justice by having that at least really close to done by the time Chevy Truck Month rolls around, and we'll showcase it and really hype that for everybody. But so yeah, there's where we're at right now. We're doing the cranky build. We're really coming along on that. A lot of it's kind of under veil. We're keeping it kind of close to the chest right now, just to help up the prestige of the calendar and to kind of help you know, keep it exciting, really. I really want to show you guys what I'm building for that. I am dying to show some videos on that. However, I'm going to hold them back for the time being, and we'll have great stuff to watch come middle of fall. Anyway, that's it for now. Bodacious Rods and Customs, thanking you guys, all of you, for hanging out with us. Thanks for checking out the channel and subbing and commenting, Google Plusing, plus oneing, and overall building the community. I'm so glad to be a part of it, and I'm super glad to have you guys along for the ride. So once again, Bodacious Rods and Customs out. Keep slinging that styrene. I'll catch up with you guys again soon. Take care.